Live from Houston, Texas, the humidity capital of the world, it's time for Money for Lunch, where we feed your brain and your business with supersized portions of business and financial news. Now your host, Bert Martinez.
Hey, right now we're going to be talking about let me try that again. My English is not so good today. We're going to be talking with Steven Fromm. And Steven has been an attorney in good standing for 35 years, being admitted to practice law in Pennsylvania in 1977. In addition, his law degree, he received a doctorate of law called an LLM, which is kind of a big deal, in taxation from NYU Graduate Division School of Law in 1977. He became a CPA and is a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So he can tell you about your legal rights as well as your money rights. And I'm excited to talk about taxes. Steven Fromm, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Bert?
Good. So, you know what, let me ask you this. Can you give us an overview of the problem with worker classification?
Yes. This is an area that has been receiving a lot of attention lately by the IRS. They put out what's called a new voluntary worker classification settlement program that can assist those employers that have misclassified their employees. Now, to let you know, as an overview, what the game is, a lot of employers have played games in this area. And they've tried to avoid payroll taxes by treating workers.
Are you serious? Employers trying to get away with not paying in taxes? That's crazy.
Yeah, what a concept. But so what they did is, and what many people are probably aware of is, they give their employees a Form 1099 at the end of the year, and they do no withholding, and this creates a lot of questions and problems for all concerned. First, from an employee perspective, you know, the first time they get this Form 1099, they start to fill out their tax return, and lo and behold, they see that no money has been withheld for income taxes or state income taxes or federal income taxes. And worse still, when they get to the end of the return, there's something called an SE tax, the Social Security tax. And basically, by being subject to getting a 1099, they now have to foot the bill for both the employer match and the employee match of Social Security. So they're paying what the employer should have paid for Social Security. So this is a really rude awakening for employees. Now, from the employer standpoint, okay, he's thinking he's going along very well. He's avoiding all this. But, you know, by doing this and by trying to skirt his legal obligations, he's exposing himself to tax problems down the road. Not only delinquent taxes, but interest and penalties. The government, from their perspective, they're getting the short end of the stick because a lot of these taxes go uncollected. These people are living, you know, most of these employees don't have the wherewithal to make these payments. They become delinquent in the taxes, and the country's deficit increases, and the IRS has a bear of a time policing the area. So there's all three parties are impacted here, and the idea of this voluntary worker classification settlement program, the so-called VCST, the IRS likes to use all these acronyms, this gives a window of opportunity for employers to come forward before an examination is initiated. And if they come forward under this program, they can get a very nice tax break for doing it, and they can get certainty. I'm going to talk about that, if you want me to, in more detail, that VCSP program in more detail. But I think what I want to do is just focus in on, as the next part of this, all of the illegal advantages that employers have at their disposal, and it makes this so tempting.
Okay, hold on, and hold that thought a second. Let's do this. I gotta take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk about Steven Fromm about your rights and employer classification and tricky stuff that you shouldn't do right after this quick commercial break.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch, and check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
Hey, we're back. We're talking to legal and tax expert Steven Fromm about worker classification. And right before the break, you were talking specifically about the legal advantages and savings that some of these employers try to take advantage of by misclassification. Give us some more of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tempting. This stuff is really tempting, especially in our economy, where many businesses are, pretty much on the edge of profitability or not. And our economy just is, people, people try and cut corners wherever they can. So in this context, number one, by making these workers independent contractors, they save Social Security taxes, Medicare taxes, unemployment taxes. They don't do federal withholding. Then, if they have medical insurance for some of their people in their organization, they can avoid paying medical insurance. If they have a retirement plan, by making these people independent, they avoid having retirement plan contributions made. And the final thing, obviously, is it can keep their systems much more simple. They don't have to, do all this accounting and all of the record-keeping and clerical and administrative that's involved. So these incentives, really make it very tempting. But here's the problem. The problem from the employer's standpoint is that these payroll tax liabilities can create not only the liability if they're audited, but also significant penalties and interests. And in the worst case scenario, civil and criminal sanctions can be brought by the IRS. And in the worst case scenario, imprisonment if it's really egregious.
Wow. What's amazing to me is, look, if you're a business and you're trying to cut corners by misclassifying your employees and doing this kind of trickery, you're probably doing it wrong. You need to scale down your business. You need to hire some help to get you fixed, because you cannot effectively grow a business by cutting these kind of corners and defrauding the government. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And the other part about it is that from a penalty standpoint, the IRS has this provision in its code, Section 6672 of the code, which can hold officers, shareholders, board of directors, any person that quote-unquote is a responsible person for the trust fund taxes that are failed to be remitted to the IRS. So that if you have a situation where you have a company that's fairly questionable and they start preferring creditors over payroll taxes in a general sense, they have personal exposure. The corporate shield won't protect them. In this case, where we're talking about out and out not paying anything.
Wait. Back up. Okay, say that again. If you have a corporation that's giving preference to vendors, say that again, because I thought that was very important. Very important concept, and this is superimposed on any business, regardless of whether you have a misclassification issue. Everyone thinks there's a corporate shield against which shareholders, directors can be protected against personal liability. Well, there's certain exceptions to that. One of them is something called trust fund taxes, or if you're held to be a responsible person under this magical 6672 of the code. And basically what it does is it says, look, President, or look, officer, if you're paying creditors when you should be paying in payroll, trust fund payroll for your employees, and you're not paying those payroll taxes, well, if your company goes bankrupt, or even if it doesn't, or the company can't pay, we're coming after you individually, and you're going to have personal liability, even though it's corporate debt. Wow, that's huge.
Yes, and that's huge. Now compound that with the idea of here you have a guy who's playing games with misclassification. You have a company, and they're not paying in anything. Now IRS comes along, they audit them. Hello. You can see how that could be a very, very severe problem. Okay? Not to mention all the legal fees, for experts and lawyer fees, out-of-pocket costs for litigation, experts in court, and even if you get a settlement, you still have paid significant fees. And that doesn't even count, all the taxes and interest and penalties that you'll incur.
Right. Well, you know what, and like any other illegal venture, and I know that a lot of people think that it's okay to cheat the IRS, but bottom line is there's also a stress cost involved. I mean, you can only, you mentioned hiring all these people to protect you that you could have easily avoided by just following the rules. I mean, in our system, if you want to violate a rule, and let me rephrase it, challenge a rule, there's a system for that. Rules, I think, are to be broken. Laws are to be challenged because there's a system for both of those. And when you start, if you start doing stuff that sooner or later, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they catch up to you. You have to deal with your kids, your spouse, like you said, the legal experts, the stress, it just, it doesn't work out. I mean, let's take what is it, Bernie Madoff, as luxurious as he was living, he fell just as hard. His kids, his wife are also under investigation. There's all sorts of pain there that, when it's all said and done, it wasn't worth the billions of dollars that he swindled people.
So true, Bert. So true. I could give you some really good stories. I've had clients who have been stormtrooped by Criminal Investigation Division for this situation. And
well, you know what? And here's what I'd like to do, Stephen. I would love to have you back on the show, and let's talk about some of these things that you've seen when the hammer comes down. And by all means, I'm going to get my producer to have you back on because I definitely like to hear this. But we're out of time. If you want some help with your taxes, check out Steven Fromm. You can also go to sjfpc.com. That's S as in Sam, J as in John, F as in Frank, pc.com. Steven Fromm, tax and legal expert. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Bert. Bert, one final thing.
Sure.
I wrote an article about playing fast and loose with worker classification, and if people want to, they can go to my blog at www.fromtaxes.wordpress.com.
Excellent. Stephen, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Bert.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch and check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.